glorious slaughter.
You mean like a moral victory, so to speak?
Right, like a moral victory where you just die all in the battlefield. What movie is it Braveheart? Where at the very end, like they all just lose? Or is it more that Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai?
Both. Both. So they both lose in Last Samurai. That's actually one of my favorite movies, by the way, Last Samurai. I think Tom Cruise is a great
That's an
actor.
older movie.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great movie.
I gotta say, the greatest glory, like the greatest glorious battles, it's not when like, oh, it's a 50-50. It's the bottom of the ninth, like the Lord of the Rings. Like when Aragorn finally marches on the Black Gates and it's like, this is truly it. When he charges them, there's no hope of like, maybe we'll be able to fight effectively and overwhelm their armies. It's just all hope is lost. And then the bottom of the ninth, things work out. But sometimes all hope truly is actually lost and you just lose.
You just said the narrative of premillennialism. Chapter 19, Revelation, the Antichrist and his army. Christ shows up. Christ and Lord of the Rings represents, Christological themes.
I think there is a winnowing and of good and evil. They are finally separated in the final analysis. You should debate someone, I feel like, on this. Like, is this in the future? Is in this the past? Like a very articulate, maybe like a young Anglican, I think would be good. Looks like Christian Bale and Batman.
Wes is talking about my debate with Jonah Salad that I had. I did it last week. It was pre-recorded, but we released it last night. And Wes is now a futurist.
Absolutely.
He's joined the camp. He left his neo-postmillennialism camp.
I was selling my Ken Gentry books 15 minutes into the opening statement. $2, I'll give it away.
Book burning going on at Wes's barbecue later tonight.
Yep. Celebration of July 4th.
Yeah, but it was a fun debate. That was my most technical debate. It's such a broad topic, and I feel like there's so many things that we just could have talked about, but Jonah did a great job, and he's a great debater. He challenged me well, and it prepped me for hopefully be a better debater, because there's always holes. Like you look back and you see, man, I could have done so much better, and I can improve in this era. So I'm hoping for my next debate coming up with Keith Foskey.
Yeah, that's exciting. Tell us about that.
So he's a king of amillennial or amillennialism as a joke, and I said I'm
and the king of the buffet. It looks like,
and I'm the prince of premillennialism is what I call myself as a joke. So we're just having some fun. I will say it's so much different when you debate a Christian versus somebody who's not a Christian or doesn't feel like a Christian, like coming off of our Father John Whiteford debate.
Yeah.
You can feel that tension where it's like, man, we're definitely not in the same camp over here.
Right. The distance between us is very far. And there's age differences too, but it is so nice, the charity with good Christian debate when we're not kicking people off the boat, but it's people that are closer to us.
Yeah, exactly. So for this, speaking of debates now, we totally planned this segue, by the way. Talk about my debate and Joe Biden and Trump's debate.
They were both equally popular, honestly. Like the views, they were kind of neck and neck for a while.
So I got my American flag pin out for this talk, by the way. So what I want to do to set the pace, I want to read a Facebook post from an Acts 29 church pastor in New Jersey that epitomizes the problem that is going on, where there's this teaching indoctrination of third wayism, and we're really just going to influence you to not like Trump, when clearly Biden is a total antithesis of Christian morality and wants to get that ordained. And though Trump isn't a Christian, Wes and I are going to talk about that. There's a necessity that Christians get politics right, and that requires us to vote right. So here's what he said. I won't name him. But he said the day after the debate, by the way, the guy never posts on Facebook really, but he came out for this though. He won't talk about Jesus, but he comes out for this. And he says, anyone else concerned that this is the best our country can offer? Not at all saying being president is an easy gig, but if we agree it's the highest level of representation for our country, and let's just say we are America's HR, which we kind of are, would we feel comfortable extending each of these candidates an offer? Is it okay to say maybe neither of these guys are qualified? Not interested in firing anyone up, but maybe it's time we reevaluate a two-party system. Oh, like a third way system, you mean?
Wow.
Maybe there's some deeper takeaways. Oh, there's a deeper takeaway, Wes, the nuance. And if these two are standard for this great country, we'll enjoy round one of this circus. It's only just begun. So there we go. Biden was the clear loser. When he walked out, I'm not making fun of him. I thought to myself, he looks horrible. Holy cow. He looks horrible. He is clearly not fit to be our leader. His mental capabilities is totally shot, as well as his moral
Yeah.
integrity is totally shot. And yet some pastors are still out there influencing people to think that Trump is on the same level as this. And it's okay. And we understand if you don't vote for him, support him, if you just want to do a vote for justice. But I'll let Wes take it away and lead us in the conversation more.
Well, I was
Because
going to say,
good things.
how much deep thought was he in to think of that? Like, maybe the two-party system is not the best. I mean, nobody said this before. Like, nobody has had this idea ever that, like, oh, maybe it's a bit of a gridlock. He's like, hang on. There might be a factor that we missed.
I'll
My
match
wife,
Chandler up.
she'll think it's funny me sharing this, but growing up, she's like, I don't get it with gay couples. Why don't the girls just marry the guys and the guys just marry the girls? She's like thinking about this, and she's like, the girls pray with the girls, but I think there's a solution we're missing here. What if they marry the gay guys and everything's okay? That's this
Ah,
guy thinking like, oh, we got two parties and neither really represent me. Maybe a third one. Like, of course, they're broad ranges. Of course, they don't perfectly represent you, and especially the candidate won't. But that's just not profound.
and somebody asked me
He
too.
doesn't want to get anyone fired up. He just doesn't want to do any of that. He just
He
wants
wants to
to
appeal to both sides. But somebody
have
asked
some
me,
conversations.
yeah. Somebody asked me on Instagram, like, why was I posting some of this stuff and talking about like politics? One of the reasons I do this because the leftist, progressive, liberal, third way pastors are adamant about this, and
Hmm.
they are influencing people in the congregations who go to church, Christians, to vote left and not
Right.
vote right. So it's a typical, we talked about this before. I'll say it again. They want to punch right and hug left. So if you're a conservative, you got to dial it down. If you're a leftist, you care about biblical justice and we accept you and we're okay. We want to embrace you.
Right.
And it's junk. It's wrong. They're the party of infanticide, of LGBT. They're totally antithetical to God's scriptures. And we're not voting for him. And Trump is clearly the better candidate. And yes, he is the better candidate. And we can talk about that and we can say that as
Yeah.
Christians and not be ashamed.
Right. Let me give a crash course on politics. I know you know this, Lucas, but for the listener, because Christians apply the wrong categories to politics. So you think about the categories, for example, moral categories of good and evil. Applying the categories of good and evil, it's not appropriate in a sports competition, for example, the Falcons versus the Patriots. It's not a battle of good versus evil. You're making a category error there when you say we have good and evil. Same thing if you were to use the field of visuals, aesthetics. You could say beautiful, ugly. I wouldn't take that and necessarily apply it to the drawing that my child made. That's a category error. We need to apply the correct categories to the correct things. And so sometimes Christians can think that politics is a realm where we apply those moral categories of good and evil, and that they would apply and say, would I sign this bill? Would I enact this law? Would I go after these individuals? Would I prosecute this way? And they say, well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do this, and I wouldn't do that thing. And so morally, to participate or to vote for or to give support for someone would be morally wrong. But I don't think that's the way. For one, I think God designed politics to be, and also in the Western tradition, you think of Johann Althusius, for example. You go back also to some of the conservatives like Burke and some others. We have this long history of thought about what politics is. This is not something that like 10 minutes ago we had to start thinking about, like, oh, what is politics for? And the consensus is that politics, because human beings are social, we need some type of system that enables us to pursue higher goods. So if I had to spend all of my time foraging for food, harvesting eggs, raising cattle, then putting them down and processing the meat and then eating it, I would not be able to do the job I'm doing right now, which is working in consulting and healthcare and working on some really cool projects to treat rare diseases. I wouldn't be able to do that because I would be stuck at the basic level of existence just trying to make sure my kids had enough food to eat. Now, when we band together, and some people do food, and some people do healthcare, and some people do building homes. I didn't build my home that I live in, for example. When we do that, we're able to pursue greater things. When we get that collective together, we need to start making decisions. What's the policy that's best for this? Do we require inspections for these homes that people are going to live in? That's the realm of politics. And when you bring the collective together, the distinction in there is the friend-enemy distinction. This would be from German jurist Carl Schmitt. And some of you might not like him, that's fine. But he says the ultimate distinction in politics. So in morality, it's good versus evil. In aesthetics, it's beautiful, ugly, all of these different things. The final category is friend-enemy. The friend is the person that will continue, protect, and advocate for your way of life. So this would be for my family to be able to make a living, be able to purchase food, be able to worship God freely, be able to educate my kids. The friend, as a broad category, is going to be the person that allows me to do that. The enemy is going to be someone opposed to it. Now, our friends and our enemies are biblical friends and biblical enemies. So I want good, godly friends, at least somewhat, that will protect godly things. And then on the enemy side, those who are my enemies and threaten my way of life, they would also threaten or disagree with biblical principles. So friend, enemy, friend, enemy. And when I make political decisions, who I'm going to vote for, who I'm going to donate to, who that I'm going to canvass for, I wish Christians would stop thinking strictly in terms of good and evil. You need to think, who is going to give me the best chance to continue and to protect in the short term my way of life. Joe Biden, his Department of Justice, I think they threw a 91-year-old grandmother who was protesting and blocking an abortion hallway, threw her into jail where she is probably going to die. That could be someone in your church. That could be you. They've been weaponized against people who showed up to January 6th, weaponized against Christians who donated, or just anyone individually who donated to Trump. Texas retaliated, a healthcare system retaliated against a nurse who blew the whistle on transgender care. So you have your enemy, and that is the Biden administration. Trump, not a moral decision. I'm not choosing him to be my babysitter. I'm not choosing him to be my pastor. I'm not choosing him to be a member of my small group. It's not a moral decision. It's a political decision. Is Trump going to come after me? Is he going to raise my taxes? Is he going to do all these things that will make my life and my family's life harder? And the answer is no. And when you look at it and you boil it down, it's really not that complicated. So stop thinking again in terms of just ultimate good and evil. Would I do exactly what he does? No, of course you wouldn't. And I don't even know that he's a Christian. But I think he's going to do a lot for protecting the Christian, even dare I say, Protestant way of life here in the United States in the next 4 years.
So people often go down the route of, keep religion and politics separate. And here's something interesting is that John Wesley said the same thing. But yet he also talked and preached to Christians about politics. And so, to just give you a quick history in a nutshell. So, during the War of Independence, John Wesley was against the Americans rebelling, and then Francis Asbury, who John Wesley put in charge or sent out as an itinerary preacher, Francis Asbury actually sided with the Americans, and so there was this tension between the people called Methodists. Should we, be in support of the war against Great Britain or against it? And John Wesley would argue, though, that the Americans, as long as they have freedom of conscience and liberty and religion, they shouldn't do it. Now, I'm not saying that I take the side of John Wesley, but what I'm saying is, whether you agree with John Wesley or not, he made a really good point of principle, is that in regards to politics, we have freedom of conscience and the liberty to worship, obey God, not disobey him. I can go to work, provide for my family, love my neighbors. Hopefully our president is not overtaxing us, so I have to work multiple jobs and spend less time away from being with my family and friends and serving the church. And so all this in relation to politics, to your point, Wes, is that we're not voting for a pastor. If Trump has the qualifications to be a pastor, then he shouldn't be running for as president. He should be a pastor.
Right.
So we're not going to vote for a pastor.
We're
not holding him to the standard of a pastor. We're holding to a standard of those lines that you mentioned that are great, and along the lines of, don't think of these terms of idealism. I want the perfect person. Think in terms of who's going to allow me to have the freedom of conscience and liberty to support my family, obey God, worship Him, provide and serve my my church. All these good things. And when you have a candidate like Joe Biden, who clearly over the last 4 years we're all paying more at the pump, in grocery stores, on rent, on mortgages, our taxes are higher. And in relation to that, we're all seeing the insanity of LGBT, men naked in front of children. And I'm not, and that's completely accurate. The slaughter of babies all the way up until the 9 months, even post birth. It's evil at 1 month or 9 months, but just to get the story behind what they're advocating for, how can we say and be a third-rate pastor and say, okay, both these candidates suck, and there's no good choices. Really, there's no good choices. So compared to Trump his 4 years, and Biden, you're telling me that they're both on equal terms and we should be third way? No, we should clearly vote for Trump. And this is what gets me too, is that if you look at Trump's character, like what is so bad about him, honestly? like, I don't know what this guy is doing that apparently is just, oh, he's so wicked, he's so evil. Like, what is he doing? He's in support of Christian morals or allowing you to freedom. Like, I just saw him recently do a tweet, I think it was on Truth Social, about getting the 10 Commandments in public schools. Oh my gosh. What? How evil, Wes? How dare he talk
Yeah, yeah,
about this? We should stop, get rid of critical race theory. Oh my goodness, critical race theory. No, keep it.
right.
We should not give our money to Ukraine, billions and billions of dollars. We should close our borders and stop these criminals from coming in and hurting and harming and killing Americans. Oh my gosh, what a wicked
What
man.
a terrible.
He's equally as bad as Biden. We have no good choices. Can't we get anybody better?
Yeah,
It's like, give me a break. And these pastors, this is what gets me. These pastors are preaching this. These pastors are indoctrinating and influencing Christians to think that Trump is evil, and if you vote for Biden, it's okay because they're both bad, and you should really be super spiritual about voting. And
right.
and voting, if you do vote, don't even tell us, just vote your conscience. Come on. Let's be real here. Trump is clearly the better candidate, and we should start supporting and being anti-leftist and tell them that it's sinful. And I will say this too, and I said this on Instagram and Twitter: if you vote for a Democrat, like you are sinning.
Yep.
We have to be upfront. There's no way you as a Christian can say in clear conscience, based upon the Word of God, that I have the freedom to vote for this baby murderer, this person who supports grooming. There is no way you're sinning if you vote for this, if you support this. And clearly, idealistically, or in terms of what's going to be, not idealistically, going back to what you said, what's going to help me and my neighbor. Clearly, Trump is the better candidate for this.
I was going to say, to steelman because it's funny. There's two groups that agreed together and on not voting for Trump, and they would be the far right, like the abolitionists, and leftists, the kind of two unlikely groups. They hold hands. But to steelman my brothers in Christ who are abolitionists, they say, I can't vote for Trump on the principle that he would allow, for example, he said in the debate, he was for the abortion pill, and then the case of rape, incest, or for the life of the mother, support these things. And those are wrong. Those are still murder. A child conceived in rape is still a human being. And to end that, it doesn't fix the rape, for one, but it is murder of someone else. So two wrongs do not rectify or fix the right. So Trump is wrong, and that is a wicked decision. But here's the deal. All right, so I want abortion ended, and I do. And I think by God's grace, we'll see it happen, hopefully in our lifetimes. An unrelenting stream of another 10 million immigrants. And in 2028, say there maybe even is an abolitionist candidate on the ballot. Does 10 million immigrants that would be allowed if Biden gets a second term, does that help or does that hurt my chances of being able actually in the future to abolish abortion? So practically speaking, my long-term goal, the abolition of abortion. But what really makes that difficult is 10 to 15 million individuals coming in and being involved in our elections and voting, most of them to the left, because the left's policies are those that reward them and fund them and give them jobs and give them the ability to vote. That makes my job, I wouldn't just say harder. I say it would make it impossible. We have to think strategically here, but I put on our big boy pants. I want this ended, and I might not be just by doing my whole, I'm not going to vote, I'm going to take this principled stand, I'm not going to do this. That doesn't practically get us any closer to actually eradicating it. Because short of revival, Redeem Zoomer pointed this out the other day on Twitter, and I think he's correct. A lot of revivals were more socioeconomic movements that were very short-lived. So they were kind of social crazes that swept things up and then died out. Like Billy Graham would come through a town, 100 people they would say would join a church. 98 of them would be gone by a year in. That's not all revivals. I'm not speaking negatively about the power of the Spirit. The Spirit can do what it will do. But practically speaking, if and when abortion is outlawed and done in our country, it's going to be through practical things like voter blocks. It's going to be through the rise and the ascendance, the return of a strong evangelical Protestantism. It's going to be through elections in the House, in the Senate, the appointment of judges. It's going to take practical means. So avail yourself of the practical means for it. And one of those is, if you have to plug your nose and do it, I will not be plugging my nose. I'll be wearing a MAGA hat and walking in and voting for Trump. But even if you have to plug your nose, just so in 2028, say Dusty Devers is on the ballot for president, to even have a chance that he would be elected, if you have to do that, then do it. Don't be so principled and so high and mighty and so righteous that you'll watch our nation continue to get flooded with violent immigrants, your neighbor's tax dollar diluted, and just so you can hold your head high. And when we're in the gulags, you straighten up your straitjacket. I didn't vote for Trump in 2024. I'm better than you. Stop it. Get some help. And on November, I think it's the 8th, just go in there and vote for the one who's going to give us the best chance of this happening. I think that's loving your neighbor. And I don't think you've sinned. The Bible doesn't say it.
Somebody made a really good point to me, to your point about this abolitionist versus incrementalism. Do you want to give a nutshell for our viewers what we're talking about?
Sure. So there's incrementalism, which would basically say that if a bill came to your desk and it said, we will outlaw abortion on Monday and Tuesday, you would sign it. So say you're the governor of a state, the Senate and the House, they send you up a bill. Hey, this bill would outlaw abortion on Monday, Tuesday. If you're incremental, you would say that's an incremental step towards getting rid of abortion. So I would sign it. The abolitionists would say that bill, so it allows it on Monday, Tuesday, maybe allows it at 8 weeks or earlier, would say you're still allowing and creating these conditions for murder. And so that would be compromise. So it's not like, well, you can kill half of my family. You'd still say, no, that's wicked. They would say the only bar for a candidate that you can vote for, a bill that you can support, would be a bill that is completely consistent with God's law. It's the abolition of abortion. So equal protection, that it would be to say from the moment of conception, a baby or a child, I don't want to say fetus. What word would you use?
Well, fetus means offspring, so I have no problem saying that as long as we educate people. Fetus literally means it's Latin for offspring. It does not get people off the hook.
Yep. So the fetus from the moment of conception has the full rights of a human being. So that would be more the abolitionist position. The incrementalist still believes it's made in the image of God, still a human being, but the means they take to it would be more incremental in nature than only ever saying we will only enact righteous legislation.
So to that point now, so some people, they don't want to vote for Trump because of along the lines of, well, he allows for abortion, which he does. It's evil, it's wrong. And if I had my choice, Wes too, abortion would be ended now. There'd be no wait. But the point what somebody made to me, and he's a Christian, and it was a really good point. If we had two candidates, one was an incrementalist and one was an abolitionist, on the ballot, it would be wrong for me as a Christian to vote for the incrementalist. Mm-hmm. I would vote for the abolitionist because that guy's going to end abortion the moment he gets in office. The other guy's going to take his time. So I would vote, again, for the abolitionist. But here's the thing. We don't have this on the ballot. We have somebody who wants to kill babies all the way up until 9 months post-birth, and somebody who it's wicked, it's wrong. He'll allow exceptions in certain cases. I don't like that. Again, it's really, it's one of the worst evils. But at the end of the day, Trump will kill less babies than Biden. And I am not going to give my vote for Joe Biden. He's a horrible person. He's shot mentally and morally. And even if he had a sharp mind, by the way. So it's not even just... That's a big F. It's not even that this guy is just gone mentally. Obviously, that disqualifies him. But even if he had a sharp mind like Trump, the guy is still morally shot. He's still wicked. Absolutely. He's a wicked ruler. So again, we're just not going to vote for him. And we have to get rid of this, I'm too holy to vote. You're not too holy to vote. You don't have to be like that. I don't think like that about work. I'm too holy to go to work. God's going to give me God's going to give me food, and he's promised me. Yes, he has, but he's also told me to do certain things. And there's a way of life, and there's means of grace that God has done. And one of them is my vote. God works through votes. Now, of course, we can go into things like, well, is the election fair? I don't think the election is fair.
Sure.
Or I'm really getting into it. I'm just pulling out all the stops.
Yep. But we'll say all we say. If you can't vote for either. If you can't vote for Trump, I get it. I love you. I think you're dumb. I have friends that I love that are abolitionists, and I would say I'm abolitionist too. Absolutely equal protection. But if you're an abolitionist and the next session, like the Department of Justice is already coming after Christian families, and they will absolutely do so more in 4 years. And so in real practical terms, we are talking about Christian fathers, Christian mothers, potentially Christian grandmothers in jail, and not just someone somewhere out there in your church, potentially even in your family. And so you have these abolitionists who are like, I can't do it. I can't do that. You are idealistic and you're being dumb. I don't know if I would go so far as to say you're in sin. You can't vote for Biden. That's sin. I think you should vote for Trump. If you don't vote for Trump, you're not a heretic. You're not off the island. but you're being dumb, and you need to. I think of Jesus, who said to the Pharisees, "You walk outside, and you can tell it's going to rain tomorrow. You look at the clouds, like, looks like it's going to rain, but you can't tell the sign of the times." In the same way, some of these people that they're too good to vote for Trump, you do not understand what's going on here. You don't understand how much immigration, all immigration, not just illegal immigration, all immigration is threatening this country. You don't understand how bad things can be. You look at Canada, you look at the home prices, you look at inflation, you look at all of these things, you look at retribution and retaliation against conservatives, a federal ban on homeschooling. That's something that got floated within the last month. These are things that could really happen. And if you're there and you're looking at this beautiful idea of just, I fill out the ballot and I don't put anyone because none of them meet my standards, you are being silly. And you need to stop it. And that doesn't mean you need to be proud about it. It doesn't mean you need to have this wonderful, warm feeling, fuzzy feeling in your stomach. You go vote for the person that hopefully is not going to imprison your children and you, and run your taxes up and run the dollar up to the point of no return. It isn't complicated. Friend, enemy.
Yeah.
Trump is a friend. Biden's an enemy. I want to promote and help my friend.
It's such an irony too in all this, because when this third way liberal progressive Christianity, or Acts 29 Christianity, non-denominational Christianity, says keep politics and religion separate, so then why are you holding him to the standard of his character being in line with a perfect, spotless person, call it a pastor? If it's separate, then why are you holding him to such a high standard that not even you probably have? I mean, let's face it, the majority of people do not have that standard of being blameless in 1 Timothy 3. So politics are separate from this. Why are you holding him to this? And also, too, you can really see the fault in this theology, in this teaching, because it always results, this teaching of keep politics and Christianity out of it, it never goes towards the benefit of conservative values. Never. It always goes left. Why is that? Could it be that there's an agenda here when they say keep politics out of Christianity? Could it be that they really want to open up and make room for liberals and be liberal? Yeah. Because I can't stress this enough. That thinking, that theology, it never benefits the right. The vote never swings towards Trump or people like him. It always goes left. Why is that? We have to think about this.
To test this. So okay, so keep religion out of politics, politics out of religion. Sounds good. So just show up on Sunday morning in a full SS Nazi uniform. Hey, politics out of religion, right? Will you be fully accepted, or would they ask you not to come back? Oh, so you do have political inclinations. You're just covering them over in the thin veneer of a bad reading of the Sermon on the Mount. Because politics and religion, they're so intimately linked. Someone said, politics is what is, religion is what should be. So it's so naive to think that you could separate out politics from religion. You could just do church and it not affect any of the political. Because like I was talking about earlier, the political is how we get together, we form the collective and pursue good. It's how we structure our society, how we have functional roads. Like, these things matter so practically. And to think that religion is just up there and above and outside of it, it's just naive. And then again, when you test it, just go ahead and show up and just say, hey, I'm Wes. I believe in God. I'm a racist. Oh, whoa. They have political convictions. So it's naive and it's false. So they're lying to you and they think you're dumb, which is pretty insulting.
Maybe we can end on this. So there's good news for New Jersey. Wes is going to probably move back after the debate. After the debate, and a new poll shows Trump leading Joe Biden in New Jersey. So New Jersey, a blue state, right, where I live, is 41% Trump, 40% Biden. That's insane. If we go, can you imagine if New Jersey goes red? That'd be nuts. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And then actually, there's another one too. This is from Interactive Polls, by the way. In New York, pre-debate, Biden was at 43%, Trump 41%. Post-debate, Trump is at 45%, Biden at 38%. New York. That's insane if they do this. Now, I have my own theories. I think they're going to replace Joe Biden with probably Newsom or Hillary, and that's why they allowed this to be early, so that they knew Trump or Biden would fail. They know he's a wreck. They wanted to show the world and then swoop in and be the hero and say, we're giving you Newsom or Hillary, either one of those.
I've heard that take. I think I think they're just dumb. Like,
Let's hope
I
so.
don't. I know what you're saying. There is a good reason to believe that they're behind the scenes,
Yeah.
conniving. I think Jill, his wife, so Joe Biden's wife. I don't think she wants to see her husband removed with the 25th Amendment. And here's the problem, and I love it. And this is how God foils the plans of the wicked.
Yeah.
Who do they pick as VP in 2020? Kamala Harris, the black woman. There's no status more sacred in America than that of the black woman. So if they go to replace Biden, and she doesn't get the nod. And I've seen already the left talking about this. Like, don't you dare substitute in another white man when we have a black woman as VP. Now, Harris would never win an election because she's supremely unlikable. But they've screwed themselves over because now as VP, she's demanding. I think internal reports have come out that she's furious. She's not being considered to be given kind of like, oh, you're next up. And so their diversity pick, their diversity hire to appease the DEI gods in 2020 is now backfiring as she's the most unlikable vice president in history. They have a crisis of age and dementia at the president level, and they can't fall back on the vice president. And if they try to circumvent the vice president, the left will split internally. It'll be a civil war because the one side will say, how dare you replace a black woman? How dare she's ready? She's a great VP. And then the other side that knows the truth because they're not idealists and they actually want to win saying like, yeah, but she's unlikable. But you can't, of course, say she's unlikable in the Democrat Party. So I love the dilemma they're in. They're rock in a hard place. And I don't think they're going to figure it out before the election. And now more than ever, I think Trump wins.
I hope he does. I mean, unless they, if they played dirty first, the first time they'll do it again. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I have no idea. But I did think to myself, just seeing Joe Biden and what an embarrassment he was. I could not help but think like this was God's doing. God's making a fool of him before the world. I mean, I don't want to speak for God, obviously, but that's my thoughts. Like God's making a fool out of him, and he's paying in some sense right now for his crimes against God.
Yep, he's a wicked man. He's a terrible father. He's a wicked man, and because of his pride, he will not spend the last few years of his life with his children relaxing. He's going to be spending it drugged up, trying to put on a good front for a party that hates him and is using him.
Let's end on a positive note. I do want to say, think about 1 Timothy, talks about praying for your leaders. And the reason Paul says that we may live a godly and quiet life in all dignity. So pray for America, pray even for Joe Biden that God would save him, Kamala Harris as well. Pray for the left. Pray for churches, pray for this nation, pray for revival. God wants all men to be saved. I mean, I know Wes is a Calvinist, so you might have different view on that.
I choke those words out. Pray.
But I think even your system, the principles there, pray that God would have mercy. So let's end it on that. Don't be stupid, as Wes says. Don't be so holy that you can't go vote. Don't be an idealist. Don't hold them to a standard of a pastor. Think smart, think wisely, and do all things to the glory of God.
Amen.
Amen. All right, we meet every Wednesday at 3. I think I might drop this one a little bit early if I can.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Every Wednesday, except when it's not on Wednesday.
Yeah. And then if you want to be a Patreon member and support Method Ministries for just $5 a month, you can do that. The link is in the description of this video. And thanks for tuning in. Take care and God bless.